Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and TuneIn. Now, here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Season 12, Episode 42, overall 647 of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, hosted by Chris Palme and brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership. Our friends are located at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out their website, barrycullen.com, for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, along with their great selection of all-electric vehicles and Cadillac vehicles as well. You can call the dealership at 519-824-0210 and tell them Chris Palme sent you, or you can email them at info@barrycullen.com. Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership has been family-run and operated here in the city of Guelph since 1969. And if you're looking for winter tires right now with winter here, what a better place to check out than Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealers Service Department. Go see Greg Smith or Sarah Higgins, and they can help you find the right winter tires for your vehicle, especially with the winter weather coming back here in Southern Ontario. And also at Barry Cullen Chevrolet right now, if your battery needs to be checked, check it out at Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership. Right now, they're doing a free, no charge 12-volt battery check on your battery. And if you happen to need a new battery, they'll give you a $20 rebate as well. More details at barrycullen.com. I hope everyone's doing well on this very busy Tuesday, January 13th, 2026. I had some good news this morning. Around 9 o'clock in the morning, I received an email from the NFL Media Communications, and I was selected to be a media member for this year's Super Bowl 60 out in Santa Clara, California, the home of the San Francisco 49ers. So I just want to tell people out there, no matter what career you're in, if you get told no in the past, don't give up. Never give up, and eventually your opportunities will come. So I want to say thank you to the National Football League for this opportunity of covering the Super Bowl as well. And by the way, since we're talking football and I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, I'm still getting over our devastating loss to the Niners, 23-19 on Sunday at Lincoln Financial Field. Some good news from Philadelphia today. Kevin Botello has been fired as the offensive coordinator, so that's definitely positive. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be looking for their first new head coach in 20 years, as Mike Tomlin announced his retirement after 19 years as well. So Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh and a whole bunch of coaches jobs are out there. And who knows, maybe John Harbaugh will come to Pittsburgh and Mike Tomlin will go to Baltimore. But I'd say the odds of that happening are slim to none. But anyways, I'm looking forward to my show today. He's a friend of the show and a friend of mine. We first met in 2022 when he was doing some work for the Buffalo Bandits of the National Lacrosse League. And he was one of my first interviews, who I got his name wrong during the interview, called him Blake instead of Griffin. And I'm excited to bring him on today. His name is Griffin Della Penna. He is the director of Coastal Athletic Associations. He is in charge of their creative content and a multimedia reporter as well as freelance. And he also does some in-game arena hosting for the American League Hockey League's Rochester Americans. And last night he was covering Courtney Corbetta at the KeyBank Center for the Buffalo Sabres. And he's one of the good guys I've met, and are going to bring on Griffin Della Penna now. Hey, Griffin, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Chris. That was a great intro. Great intro.
I'm still working on that. But hey, I want to say thank you so much for giving us some time out of your busy schedule, and a lot going on today in the world of sports as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, a lot of big headlines. You touched upon a few of them, and also want to say congratulations for getting that Super Bowl media pass. It's very well deserved. You've been working very hard over these last couple of years, and certainly with something like that, it's kind of a culmination of all of those interviews you've done, and certainly you should be very proud of yourself.
Well, thank you so much. And I've been very lucky, and I just reach out to people, and I guess people like my work. So I've been very lucky, and I still have a lot to improve and start learning. And that's what I love about the media industry. There's always something you can improve upon and learn constantly every day.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more myself.
And it's the guests that should get the credit, and also credits to the Toronto Argonauts, the Canadian Football League, the Buffalo Bandits, the Buffalo Bisons, and the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame too, as well. And you've come a long way since I first met you, almost 4 years ago now, as well.
Yeah, it's crazy thinking back to that first interaction we had. I was an intern back then with the Buffalo Bandits and the Buffalo Sabres. I was their team reporter back then, and just trying to grind my way through school at Canisius University as a junior, and graduated there. Since then, got my master's, and have a full time job. Kind of worked my way up in the National Lacrosse League. You mentioned some of the other things that I do, and still having involvement with the Sabres. So yeah, it's awesome to see how far we've came in that short amount of time.
By the way, I was really nervous when I first started covering the Bandits, and I didn't know a lot about the National Lacrosse League, but the Buffalo Bandits organization has been really terrific to me, and I really enjoy the National Lacrosse League. I like it as much as the NHL. I think it's a great sport, and hopefully it'll continue to grow and get more exposure.
Yeah, I even think since COVID, you've seen the overall growth really start to take shape, with teams like the Bandits building more recognition across really the whole U.S. and up in Canada too in their three-peat. And now you're starting to see some other teams that have relocated into more preferable markets, I think, that have really started to grow the game of lacrosse, not even just box lacrosse in the NLL, but I think you're just seeing overall in the sport, really fans starting to gravitate towards it.
Speaking of lacrosse, you covered the Buffalo Bandits Rochester Nighthawks game this Saturday night for NLL Plus. Thoughts on that game? How impressive was Rochester? And from being in the broadcasting booth, is there any concerns about the Buffalo Bandits after this loss as well?
Yeah, that's a really good way to start. I will start by saying that no, Buffalo Bandits fans shouldn't be concerned. They're the three-time reigning champs for a reason. But right now, I work all of the Rochester Nighthawks home games. I'm their floor reporter, sideline reporter, and that was one of my big talking points early on. Was you're starting to see this rivalry between two teams that was really dominated by Buffalo for a long time, 9-1 in this new brand of the Nighthawks since they got sold right around COVID. And it really wasn't too much of a battle, but you're starting to now see the Nighthawks take the next step in their rebuild and being one of, honestly, the favorites to potentially make a championship run this year. So they're a team that is to be reckoned with. Rochester's offense is very prolific, just like Buffalo's is. And it was a great game. It was an awesome back and forth game overall. Buffalo had a few guys on their defensive end out that I think the Nighthawks really exploited to build their lead in the second quarter. But overall, should not pump the panic button at all if you're a fan of the Bandits. There's a whole lot of season left, and no team has that playoff experience like Buffalo. So it's going to be an exciting stretch in the next few months.
I think Banditland has been spoiled, and they're so used to winning. And it's great that they have high expectations, but you got to realize this too, Griffin, and the Eagles found this out too. It's one thing to win a championship, but it's even harder when you're at the top of the mountain and doing it 3 years in a row. They even have more of a target than they did 2 years ago. So I think the Bandits will be fine, and I believe they'll turn it around. Now, to ask you this, Griffin, before we get into some other questions, how has Rochester's attendance been so far, and do you find there's more media exposure for the team as well as marketing the players too?
Yeah, it's a very unique time right now for Rochester during the off season. The Pagulas, who own the Buffalo Bills, Sabres, Bandits, decided to part ways with Rochester. They stepped up big about 6 years ago and were pivotal in kind of keeping a team in Rochester to begin with. That was never their passion or really what they wanted to do. They just wanted to keep a team here and then hopefully find a buyer down the road. Thankfully, the Seneca Nation stepped up huge, bought the team, and kept them here in Rochester. So there's a lot of buzz in the city for having ownership that has ties to the area and is honestly putting every resource available for this team to be as competitive as possible. So I think with that, it has brought more attendance because fans are excited to see this new brand of lacrosse and this new chapter for the organization. So this past weekend was actually a new high inside Blue Cross Arena against the Bandits. So there were a lot of Bandits, orange and black in the stands, but also a lot of Nighthawks fans in attendance. So over 8,500, I believe, for that game on Saturday night. So it is a great hockey and lacrosse market, just like it is in Buffalo, right down the I-90, and it's been really cool to see from the Rochester perspective.
Are you seeing more families and young kids coming to these games as well?
Yeah, for sure. I think the game of lacrosse has certainly grown overall, not just in the NLL game, but in the outdoor game and even collegiately too. Fans are really starting to gravitate towards it. And, this new Nighthawks ownership is starting to make it very evident of wanting to make it family friendly and have a lot of that demographic there. So when I try in between hits to look up in the crowd, I do see a lot of families there.
What makes Rochester such a great sports city and a great place to live too?
Yeah, Rochester is it's awesome. So where I grew up was right in the middle of Buffalo and Rochester. So it's 40 minutes each way in Batavia, New York. And it was always really cool growing up because at my disposal, I could, go left into Buffalo and have fun there or go right out to Rochester. So it's an area that I've always loved, have a lot of family and friends that live out there. And specifically, they just love their teams that are here. They don't have any true top professional teams like they do in Buffalo with the Sabres and the Bills, but they take a lot of pride in having the Amerks there, the Red Wings, AAA affiliate, as well for the Nationals among the Nighthawks too. So they love going out there, showing their Rochester love in the Flower City, and just like Buffalo as well. Just in Western New York, it's a great place to grow up. I would not had it any other way. And sports is certainly a huge fabric of this community, regardless if you're in either city.
When's your next broadcast in NLL Plus, and who's Rochester's next opponent?
So Rochester this weekend, unfortunately, they are home against the Toronto Rock. I do have another broadcast at the same time, so I will not be there this weekend, but my next game for the Nighthawks will be January 30th, I believe it is, whatever that Sunday is at the end of the month against the Vancouver Warriors. So as always with the NLL schedule, it's always a little funky. We didn't have many home games earlier on in the season, but we have a whole slew of them coming up. So we'll be back at Blue Cross Arena very soon.
Wanted to get your thoughts on this too. Why did the National Lacrosse League fail in Albany? Obviously, Albany is a great field lacrosse town, but in your opinion, why do you feel it wasn't successful with the Firewolves who relocated to Oshawa?
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic because at MVP Center they also have the Siena Saints men's basketball team that plays there, and they have a lot of weekend games. So I don't think that the Firewolves maybe had the top priority of when they were going to be having their home games, which might play a factor sometimes on weekends. And earlier on, when the Firewolves were there, because they used to be in New England as the Black Wolves before they became the Firewolves, there was a lot of fans there right around COVID, and they actually had a really good team at that point in time, right around like 2021, 2022. And I just think over that time frame, that fan buzz started to become a little bit more limited. I couldn't necessarily point my finger to one reason why it didn't work. But I do feel like the Buffalo and Rochester markets in New York were always stronger, just like how it was for the Riptide down near New York City. Same thing there. When you had a team at first, there was a lot of buzz and excitement. And then 3 or 4 years go by, and that same level is just not consistent. And like you mentioned too in the beginning of your question, that Albany capital region loves outdoor lacrosse. So maybe it just didn't translate to the indoor game. That would probably be my best guess as to why it didn't work there.
Now, I'm gonna start with this. Just tell us about filling in for the Buffalo Sabres as their in-game arena host. Normally done with Courtney Corbetta, who I've had the pleasure of meeting, a really nice person as well. How did that come about? And just tell us about doing that last night at the KeyBank Center between the Sabres and Florida Panthers.
Yeah, so this past off season, the Sabres decided that for the last few years, Courtney has done that job solo. And when you look across the NHL, there are a lot of teams that decide to have co-hosts instead of just solely relying on one person, because 41 home games stretched out over 5 or 6 months. It's a really hard thing to do and make sure that you're always available. So this offseason, they decided to go with a co-host approach. And that was a position that was posted. And I mentioned a few minutes ago that I did have relations with the Sabres as an intern going back a few years. So they know about me and how I've, tried to create a career for myself in broadcast media. And they wanted me to come out and try out essentially. So in-arena hosting is something I've never really done. It's been more live broadcasts, doing play-by-play, or being a sideline reporter. So it's a different skill set. That was something that excited me. So I had a tryout in front of an empty KeyBank Center in like the end of September, had to do some fake games and hype up the crowd. And they liked it enough to have me back for a preseason game. So that was my true tryout. And after that game, found out that I would be one of the co-hosts for the upcoming season. So again, when my schedule allows, I let them know, and I'm there with Courtney. Unfortunately, she wasn't there last night, so I was with another one of the co-hosts, Noah Rubzinski, who is another great guy, and he's enjoying it this past season too. So it's a lot of fun. It's a different experience now, maybe compared to earlier on in the season with how good the Sabres are playing, because stands are packed. There's a lot of buzz in the city, and knowing that this team has what it takes to make the playoffs. So it certainly makes the game day atmosphere more fun. And the fans and the team, they're all bought in. So it makes my job a lot easier and more fun too. And there's a packed stands instead of, maybe only 8,000 people there instead.
And speaking of in-game arena hosts, I want to give a shout out to Allie Brady, who does a really good job with the Bandits as well.
Yeah, she's great too.
Now, when you're doing your in-game hosting for the Buffalo Sabres specifically, and I know you do some for the Rochester Americans as well, what's the game day preparation in terms of the scripts and all that, and when do they expect to see you at the arena to be prepared and all that?
That's been one of the differences for me compared to in-arena hosting is previously for live broadcast, I think there's a lot more prep that goes involved because you have to be ready for everything, where this is a little bit more scripted. So I can read the script the day before and know, hey, I'm going to do this read about a sponsor, or, oh, I know I'm going to be doing this game that I've already done before. So I have a better idea of what to expect going in. And that kind of eases the nerves, I would say, already having an idea of what to expect. So on a game day, I get to the KeyBank Center right around 4:15 for a 7 p.m. puck drop. We have a quick meeting. We all go through the script with the rest of the game presentation department. And then at 4:30, we do like a dry run through of everything from the graphical elements on the video board to me on the mic to doing all of the games. So it's literally from the beginning to the end of the script. And that, again, you just kind of get in the groove. You know what to expect once the game happens and it's live, that you're ready to go. So I think the preparation is certainly different than what I'm usually doing, which is live, because you don't have those scripted elements. You're more kind of off the cuff. So I've really liked to complement both things. I don't really we have like iPads that tell us the script, and instead I like to just kind of memorize the main points and then go from there. I feel like that's a little bit more my style and being more conversational. So that's been a good twist as well.
Are you able to ad-lib occasionally, and how much would you say you've improved since September?
Yeah, I think most of what I do is ab-libbing. Like during the games and stuff, we kind of have prompts of where they want me to go with it. But I want to make that conversation with the fan who's doing a game, or if I'm interviewing them, as easy to them as possible, because for most people, having a camera in your face and you know about 19,000 people watching you can be a pretty frightening thing. So if me being very casual and uplifting, how I am talking to you right now, can kind of ease those nerves a little bit. So I think since September, since I've done it, I feel very confident with it, just like I do in live broadcast. But it's a lot of fun being able to showcase my personality in that way too, and have a lot of fun with it.
Now, was the Sabres playing much better hockey the last month and a half? 13-2 in their last 15 games. They won 10 in a row. The fans are coming back to the KeyBank Center because they love their hockey, and it's nice to see the Sabres win. But for you as an in-game arena host, did that make your job a little bit easier when the team is competitive and winning on a regular basis?
I wouldn't even say easier, but I think it's then more compelling because you
Okay.
have that buzz, that energy, that it's difficult, say in years past, if the Sabres are down by 4 and I have to try to hype up the crowd, like that's difficult to do. I never want to, when I'm in that role, or really at any point, to do something that feels forced. Like I want it to come natural. So when the team is doing really well, you don't have to kind of put on a show. Whereas this, I am excited because I love the team. I grew up, supporting the Sabres since I was probably 4 years old going to games. So this is kind of full circle for me to now be in this position. So I'm always really excited. But when the team is doing well, the fans are certainly excited too. And yeah, that alleviates some of the problems maybe in years past that. Again, I'm just speaking from me right now in this position. I don't know what it was like for Courtney maybe in years past, but I would have to imagine with the fans and it being almost a sold out game at KeyBank every single night, it makes it a lot more fun.
Now, how flexible are the Sabres with your schedule, and do you ever have conflicts?
I do. So that's the unfortunate part is there are times like tomorrow night where they asked if I could work the game against the Flyers, nationally televised game on TNT. But I already had a men's basketball broadcast between Canisius University and Niagara University, which is a huge rivalry in Western New York. It's called the Battle of the Bridge that goes back to the early 1900s. So, as a Canisius grad, that's a game that means a lot to me. Uh, doing play by play for that men's basketball game. So that kind of put me in a pickle of, oh, which one do I choose? But because I was already scheduled for that Canisius game, I'm going to stick over there. And yeah, that's the part of when you're being pulled in a lot of different directions is, unfortunately, sometimes you have to pick. And I will not be doing the Sabres game tomorrow night, unfortunately, because of that.
How much has doing the in-game hosting kind of helped you grow as a broadcaster? And how important for people who are watching this show live stream on audio? As you can see, I'm wearing a hat, but how important is it to wear many different hats? It doesn't mean you have to be the best at everything, but in the media industry, it's important to be able to do other things and then one thing specifically.
That is a great question, Chris, because I think that is something that I've really tried to exemplify in my career. Very early on, I told myself that I want to be able to do as much as possible and have as much experience in different ways that can make me very well rounded when I'm trying to get a job, a full time job, which, now I've experienced that I can say, hey, I know how to do this, this, and this, and almost check off every single box in a job description based on my personal experience and having that real world applicable experience. So I think that is awesome. And another reason why I wanted to do this with the Sabres was I've never in arena hosted before. So now if there's another opportunity with an organization like the Sabres or somewhere else down the line, and they say, hey, oh, we're kind of looking for somebody to maybe fill in or do this, that just makes me more expendable to somebody else that's has experience not just doing play-by-play or studio hosting or sideline reporting, in-arena hosting. I can kind of do it all now, which I think hopefully will pay dividends down the road as somebody who, oh, all I do is just one thing. I think there's a lot of employers now in this industry that is continuing to evolve that would rather have somebody that can do four jobs instead of just one. So that's something that I try to embody every day.
I know with this show, I'm a talk show host, but I'm the producer, content creator. I edit video, I book guests, I've done camera work, I've done behind the scenes. So it's kind of important to be able to do a little bit of everything. It doesn't mean you have to be the best at everything or like everything, but it just makes you more of an asset. And I wanted to ask you this as well. Work-life balance. How do you make sure you don't end up taking on too much and then maybe experiencing burnout?
Yeah, I think for me personally, being 24 years old, this is a very pivotal time in my career because there is certainly an overhaul. So many people that want to get into sports media right now. So it's created this environment that's incredibly saturated. So how do you stand out then amongst people that really want to get into this type of industry? Well, I think that is by saying yes to every opportunity that comes your way, which I think I certainly do, and trying to, like you said, be as versatile as possible. So that could cause maybe some strain to the work life balance. But I think at this point in my career, I would maybe take some of that 50-50 split that everybody wants and kind of put it more to my career right now. So that, say, in 6 years when I'm 30, I have a position where, okay, maybe I don't have to say yes to absolutely everything. I'm in a position where maybe I'm just working with one professional team instead of, six like I am right now on top of my day job. So that is something that at this stage of my career, I'm not as pressed on, but I do want to have, a family someday and be present with that. So that's certainly something that I'm thinking of long term, but it's not as pressing right now.
Griffin, can you describe yourself as a public speaker? How would you
As a
describe yourself as
public
a public
speaker,
speaker?
I would like to think confident, somebody who can be engaging. How I'm talking to you right now is not a show, right? I think there's a lot of broadcasters who are very buttoned up and they feel like they need to sound a certain way because this broadcaster that they really admire sounds like that. I've never been under that school of thought. I've always just wanted to be authentically myself, which I've done throughout my career, and hopefully will continue to be really good for me. So yeah, I've never tried to shy away from that. And I would like to think in my public speaking style, there's confidence with it, there's an engaging aspect, and that I just love it. Like being up on a stage or when a camera's in my face and they're counting me down and I have a big interview that's live and you can't cut it, you don't want to mess up. Like I find that so cool. It's kind of like an addicting drug where I just love that feeling of adrenaline. And after you're done with it, it's the best feeling ever because you're like, wow, I just did a great job. You're so proud of yourself. And then you're chasing it again. So I think that's kind of how I see my style as a public speaker.
Now, as much as I love doing this virtual show, there's nothing better than in-person interviews as well, because listening is even more critical when you're doing in-person interviews. Not that it's not on virtual, but in person, you really got to think on your feet even faster than virtually.
Yeah, there's a different dynamic of it being in person because like in most things in our life, right? Like sending a text or doing a call on your phone is much different than having a true in-person conversation. That's when the stakes are certainly the highest, is when it's face to face in person. And also that's when it's the most engaging to me too. While this is great, those real life conversations I think are more meaningful.
One of the guys from TSN who covers the CFL, Matthew Shinetti, he gave me some advice. He goes, Chris, mistakes will happen whether you're on radio or TV. Don't beat yourself up over it. And the only way you get better as a professional is to learn from your mistakes. And if you try to be perfect, then you're going to make even more mistakes when you try to be perfect on everything.
When and very similar advice that I try to give to other people too is there's a lot of students that I see who try to memorize every single thing that they're going to say when they're on camera. And when you do that, you're more susceptible that if you mess up on one word or your inflection is a little bit different than what you anticipated, that can throw everything else off. And then you're going to tank the rest of what you said, and your memory's going to go, and you get frazzled. So what I try to do is build off bullet points going into an interview or even something like this, where I want to hit on these major points. I don't care how I get there. I don't care how I end it. But as long as I get to those and weave it through, that's what really matters to me. And I feel like it comes off more authentic when I do that. I've also realized the importance of breath when you're talking. If you're really, really hyped up and you're talking so fast and you're running out of breath, that's when your mind starts to go haywire. But if you're really calm and you're composed and your breath is under control, you just sound so much more confident. And that's something that I even try to do in my day-to-day life. Like, you never want to be talking too fast that somebody can't really understand you, because then you're going to slip over your words, right? Like that was hard for me to say like that. But if I'm talking to you like this, Chris, I'm cool, I'm composed, I'm ready to go. And that's something that certainly translates to the broadcast realm too.
I know for myself, when I first started this show, Griffin, 6 years ago, everything was scripted and everything. And I did have Eric Smith on from the Toronto Raptors, Chuck Swirsky, and both of them 6 years ago gave me great advice. Chris, it's okay to write points down, notes, maybe even a few questions, but have a natural conversation with your guests. And Chuck Swirsky and Eric Smith have had a huge impact on what I've been doing, because I think I've evolved over the years into having more natural conversations. And before I met you, Griffin, I was in security for a casino racetrack for 23 and a half years. So being in security, I had to learn how to communicate. I had to learn how to listen, how to ad-lib on my feet and deal with different situations. And I think that career also helped me prepare for this a little bit too.
Absolutely. All of that experience can translate to what you're doing now. And that's the nice part of where the industry currently is if you have the ability to have a microphone or a laptop and you can press record, you can get experience doing this at any point. It's now easier more than ever before, because growing up for me, we didn't really have social media. So now I kind of envy those kids when I was in middle school or high school.
Yeah.
And, this is
Yeah.
what I've always wanted to do, but I didn't have those things at my disposal. So the industry has certainly changed a lot in the last 10 years.
Absolutely. And when I was your age, Griffin, I did want to go into broadcasting, but it was totally different back in the 90s than it is now. So, but you know what? It's never too late to start a new career. And I really do feel my other careers kind of prepared me for this as well. Now, Griffin, I wanted to get to you this as well before we get into a couple of Bills questions and a little bit about the Coastal Athletic Association. As for the Buffalo Sabres, what's your point from your point of view? What has been the biggest turnaround in the 25-26 Sabres, who've won now 13 out of the last 15 games? Obviously, last night, disappointing 4-3 loss to the Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers.
I think it boils down to belief in this group. When you have a long playoff drought like that, that's a lot to have on your shoulders. And when some of these players that have been with the organization, like Erasmus Dahlin, like a Tage Thompson, that have experienced some of those down years, they've gotten really close, but they haven't made that breakthrough. When they've talked to the media, they've had that belief and confidence in themselves that they can't change that. Like, they can only add to a playoff drought. They can't just act like that wasn't there. And also, for the majority of those players, that's not on their shoulders. If you're a rookie, why do you care so much about the 13 years prior? Like, that's not in your control. But what is in your control is giving the best performance every single night that you then make the playoffs. So I think that change in mindset has really paid wonders for them. And it doesn't really take a lot of time to do that. Like, they just strung together some of those games in late November, early December. They start to win some games on the road, and now all of a sudden your confidence is at an all-time high. So I think that change in mindset is great because they've shown the potential. It's just been about the consistency since then. So that's been really cool to see over this last month and a half. And you're going to see it down the stretch. They're going to continue to have this torrid pace right now because the Atlantic Division is as close as ever. It's insane that there are 6 teams right now that in the last 10 games are winning 6 or 7 games, which is insane. So they're going to continue to have to show for the rest of this homestand. They play tomorrow against the Flyers, Thursday against the Canadians, and then they have the Wild on Saturday before 5 games on the road. This is a very, very pivotal time in the year for them.
And being a Red Wings fan too, the Red Wings have been really playing well the last 2 months. But if they go into a 5, 6, 7 game losing streak, they could go from first to being out of a playoff spot. So it's important for these teams not to go into 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 game losing streaks and be consistent as well. And you're right, the Atlantic Division is very competitive. And as much as it pains me to say this, the Maple Leafs have been playing better lately, and they beat Colorado last night in Colorado, which doesn't happen very often, 4-3. Gotta ask you, did you see any of the highlights? And the Avalanche were wearing those beautiful Quebec Nordiques uniforms.
I did see the highlights. Those jerseys are gorgeous, and like you just said, it does pain me to see the Maple Leafs start to put it together now at this point in the season, because earlier on, without Mitch Marner there, it looked like it might have been kind of a retool type year for them. But slowly but surely, those complementary pieces that they brought in to try to help out that Mitch Marner loss are starting to pay dividends for them.
Griffin, before we wrap up the show in a few minutes, can you just tell our audience a little bit about your role as Director of Creative Content, Multimedia Reporter with the Coastal Athletic Association, and how did this all come about?
Yeah, for sure. This time last year, I was looking for a full-time role. I got my master's from Syracuse University in the summer of 2023. I started my program, and then about September of 2024, that's when I ended. So it was a 2-year program consolidated in a little bit over a year, which was an amazing experience and certainly took my skills to the next level. Had some health issues that I was battling during that time. Had a very serious back surgery, and was laid up on the shelf for a little bit there. So I had to take a step back. But this time last year was when I was starting to look for full-time work on top of my freelance stuff. And I was scrolling LinkedIn one day, and I saw this position with the CAA, and it was really unique because it was a full-time remote position. And our conference office is located in Richmond, Virginia. And that was the first thing that I saw that was really unique we have 13 schools that are in our membership, from Long Island in New York, where Hofstra and Stony Brook are, all the way down to Charleston, South Carolina. So all the way down the East Coast. And the opportunity to travel to those 13 schools for our championships was something that I found very interesting, on top of the remote aspect, because I could stay here in Buffalo from my day-to-day work, and then also still have, like I mentioned before, the Sabres opportunities, the Amerks, the Nighthawks, going back to Canisius, still all there. That's additional money for me, but also additional exposure in what I want to do. So that's how I initially applied for the position, and thankfully got it after a few rounds. So I started in the middle of March, and my day-to-day job essentially is to try to promote not just our conference, but also those 13 member institutions to the best of my ability. It has been really rewarding to see, in terms of the creative content aspect of my job, us really grow on social media, building a consistent brand for what we want to be. And that was through doing different graphical elements. That's by collaborating with other schools that are in our membership for posts throughout the year, just trying to highlight all of the great things that they're doing. And that's been certainly different than what my previous experience was. I did have a little bit of social media experience with the Buffalo Sabres and at Canisius, where I worked for our own athletic department and did a lot of the similar things. So now it's just different, because previously I've always worked for a team. When you work for just one team, you can put everything into that. Whereas now with my job, I have to try to solidify my time evenly between 13 different schools and then a whole lot of sports underneath that. So it certainly takes up a lot of my time, but it's been a great first full-time job for me in the industry. And college sports, especially at the mid-major level, it's been really cool to see it all work into fruition. and excited to see what we can continue to do while I'm in this role.
How many staff do you have working alongside you on this?
On our communications staff, we currently have me among 6 other people. So we have one of my bosses is just the head of communications, so he's more on the writing side. There's then 2 more SIDs that are underneath him and just really are the sport contacts for many different sports. Then there's myself. Then we also have another social media kind of representative that also deals a lot with marketing, among another individual who's more kind of behind the scenes and helps me with my original content that I make. As a lot of what I do, it's just me, right? You mentioned earlier in the show how you produce, you help book guests, you try to do everything on your own. That's also what I do for my day-to-day job too, is reaching out to all of the schools in our membership and gaining B-roll shots and video, or trying to set up different interviews with our student athletes and coaches. So I certainly know the grind of what that's like, trying to be the on-camera host for everything and edit everything by myself. It can certainly be a lot. So I certainly know what you're dealing with there, Chris.
By the way, I learned how to edit video 2 years ago on Christmas Day, and it was tedious and it was frustrating, but now I love doing it. And every show I do, I break the video into reels and clips because you know this too, Griffin. Everybody's attention span now is really short. So it's not always it's important to produce good content, but it's to make sure it's not more than 15-20 seconds. The longer the video is, the less views from what I've seen.
That's also what we saw too. So before I got there, they were posting full videos. If we had an interview with an athlete or a coach and it was 6 or 7 minutes long, wasn't getting a lot of engagement. But if I took a specific segment of that interview that was a great answer, that's 45 seconds, did a whole lot better on social media. So that has also been part of our strategy, and we continue to utilize that moving forward.
Always being aware of the current trends is huge in social media from what I've seen.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Now, Griffin, how much of your job right now is working remotely and traveling?
The time that I travel, it's dependent on the time of the year that it falls in. So my travel is always at specific points in the year. For fall sports, for example, when the culmination of our men's and women's soccer season is concluding, or cross country and field hockey, all of that starts to end towards the end of October and throughout November. So I'm gone every single week up and down the East Coast to cover those events and be at those championships. Right now, I'm kind of in a lull period where I've been able to do a lot of those other gigs that I mentioned to you, being with the Sabres and the Nighthawks and the Amerks and Canisius, because we don't really have as many championships currently occurring right now. That will change when we have our men's and women's basketball tournament to see who will go to March Madness, as I'll be in Washington, D.C. for 2 weeks, because those are very long tournaments. Same thing with the end of our spring sports with baseball and lacrosse and softball. That's, again, more towards March and April. So I'm on the road a lot, just at pockets of the year. And then there are certain months where I don't have any travel at all. So it's not necessarily consistent throughout the year, just different months where I'm always on the go.
Griffin, what have been some of your most memorable interviews and stories with the Coastal Athletic Association so far?
I was able to go to Rhode Island back in the fall, and one of our really amazing student athletes plays at URI. He's a wide receiver named Marquise Buchanan, who, for all the NFL fans out there, you need to remember his name. He just finished up his junior year. He's been an FCS All-American for the last 2, and just has an amazing story. He is from that area. He's a Rhode Island native, and certainly had the opportunity to go to much larger schools at the FBS level. And especially now with the transfer portal, there are opportunities to go make money and be at these different institutions. But he's had a lot of loyalty to URI for not just the opportunity that they gave him coming out of high school, but he has also faced some unfortunate things in his own personal life, where last year his mother's apartment burnt down. And that was the second time in his life where his family lost their home due to a fire. So thankfully, the URI community with some donors in the athletic department kind of put his story out there and raised tens of thousands of dollars for his family to get back on their feet. And that was a large reason why this past year that he decided to stay there. And they had a great run in the FCS playoffs having him back there. So that's just one of the many stories that I've been able to tell that that's really what I live for in this job, is actually getting boots on the ground and telling athletes stories that really make a difference, because there is so much as an athlete that fans always just view them in one way and not necessarily as people all the time. When you have something that's going on like that, and most people are just worried about, oh, is he scoring touchdowns on Saturday? That's really tough mentally. So when I'm able to kind of peel back that curtain and make them more humanized in a way, that's really when I feel like I'm doing my best work.
I can relate a little bit as well. This past year at the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame, it's our version of Cooperstown, and one of the former Blue Jays and Pittsburgh Pirates was put into the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame, Jose Batista. And I thought, Jose's fiery, competitive. He's probably not going to like the media. And I approached him, and he's like, "You would like a photo with me? And can I have an interview with you?" And he was very great. So I've learned in media too. Sometimes you see these athletes on TV and you see a different side of them, but when you get to interview them in person, you get to see the real them that the fans don't necessarily see. And I was wrong about Jose Batista. I thought he was going to be very confrontational or give me an attitude, and he was really great, and he's very intelligent, well spoken, and that's what I love about doing these interviews, whether it's virtually or in person too.
Yeah, at the end of the day, athletes, coaches, whoever, they're all people at the end of the day. And when you can, again, relate to them on a personable level, that shares that level of respect, that, you know, you see them more as a human than just somebody that's at the top of their field. And that's really when I feel like you're able to do the best interviews, is when they feel comfortable with you.
Yeah.
So that's a great way for you to show that with somebody who is an amazing athlete, and some other people might be a little nervous to see how he would react, that you were able to deliver in a time like that.
Build a rapport with your guests or interviewers, whether it's virtually or in person. By the way, with the Bandits, John Tavares, the first time I interviewed him, I admit I was nervous and I was intimidated by him. But then the more I came down to the games and asked him questions, I felt more comfortable with him. And I think John kind of recognized me being there on a regular basis as well, building a rapport.
Yeah, and building that trust too is so important when you see somebody consistently, that allows whoever is being interviewed to be able to be a little bit more authentic just naturally. When you see somebody just one time, it's hard to, you know, peel back some of those layers that you wouldn't really necessarily do with a stranger. So that's something that I feel like some people also kind of get twisted in the national media, where if you just see somebody one time, I don't think you can really expect for them to be as authentic as possible or really want to talk about some deeper level things.
Before we wrap the show up in a couple minutes, Griffin, what are some of your upcoming projects with the Coastal Athletic Association?
Yeah, I
That
mentioned
you-
we have our men's and women's basketball tournament coming up here shortly in the beginning of March. That is an all hands on deck type of event, not just for our communications staff, but again, our commissioner kind of going down to the specific sport administration folks. That it takes a lot of planning to have, you know, those 13 schools just for the men's, and then 13 schools for the week after for the women also be there logistically, from the broadcast side of things to tickets to, I mean, the list kind of goes on. So that is something that has been kind of our top priority right now. And then I also have coming up here shortly our men's and women's indoor track championships in Boston coming up in the middle of February. So there's a little bit of travel there, but yeah, just continuing to tell our athletes stories and shine light on all of the great things that they're doing on the floor.
What's one word to describe the Coastal Athletic Association? One word.
One word. I would say competitive. The league is in a really good place. Again, those 13 schools come from a lot of different areas. We've done a little bit of adding over the last few years. Some of those schools have decided to go up because we're very competitive in football. So that is kind of the driving force in college athletics, where a school like James Madison used to be in our conference, and they decided to go up to the FBS level because it's a little bit better in terms of generating revenue. And you just saw, I mean, Curt Cignetti, he's the head coach of Indiana right now. Well, he was just at James Madison a few years ago in our
Did
conference.
not
So
know
that
that.
goes to
Did not know
show.
that.
Yeah, so it goes to show that our league can really breed a lot of great talent amongst a lot of the athletes too, that maybe start their careers here and then go to a Power Four program and really excel. So regardless of the sport, we have a lot of ranked teams in our Olympic sports that have won even national championships in sports like women's lacrosse. So it is a league that, regardless of the sport, at the mid-major level, that is very, very competitive.
Since you brought up Indiana, when you think of the Indiana Hoosiers, you think of basketball. This has been incredible what he's done with his football program. Do you think Indiana can finish it off in the national championship game?
I do. It is too good of a story for it not to be. The way that they, from top to bottom, Curt Cignetti, he is a great coach, and has gone about this new age of college athletics and recruiting in the right way. It's been through transparency. He's not just throwing simply money out to these guys and hoping that the talent sticks. No, he is a culture setter. He went to a program that has been, unfortunately, basically a loser in their entire existence. They had the most losses ever in Division I college football history. And to take that job and from day one to have that level of confidence that, no, I'm the guy for this job, I can turn it around. You saw it last year, the first step of it, and there were some doubters even this year if they could continue to be even a playoff team, to be, undefeated at this point and win the Big Ten and throttle teams throughout the playoffs. It's a remarkable story.
Griffin, did you ever get a chance to interview Kirk?
So I wasn't working there at the time, so
Okay.
unfortunately I did not. But we have a lot of great alumni who have been here. Even just some players that stick out. Joe Flacco, he played at Delaware, who also used to be in our conferences, now in the FBS, and went on to have a Super Bowl winning career, and won an MVP with the Ravens in that one Super Bowl. So it's pretty cool to see the great alumni that we have.
Griffin, as we wrap up this show, I know you're a huge Buffalo Bills fans. Just thoughts on the Bills' 27-24 win over Jacksonville, and how important was it for the franchise to finally win their first road win in 33 years? I believe January 17th, 1992 was their last win against Miami in the AFC Championship game.
Well, it was a relief, I will say that, Chris. As somebody who didn't see the Bills in the playoffs until I was 17 years old, over the last few years, the Bills have been very lucky to be in the position that they are, having a franchise quarterback like Josh Allen, and this year more than ever, because this roster, top to bottom, is not as talented as it has been in years past. And you've certainly seen that down the stretch where Josh Allen has had to really be relied upon to win these games. And that's the beauty of the NFL in the postseason, is it's just win by whatever means necessary to keep your season alive. And
Yep.
that's what Josh Allen had to do on Sunday. And if I had to be a betting man, I would expect the same thing this weekend out there in Denver against a really good Broncos team.
Being an Eagles fan, the Eagles won the Super Bowl last year. 2 out of the last 3 Super Bowls they've been in. Talented roster, but in sports, you see this, Griffin. In college sports, professional sports, you can have the most talented roster, but if you don't have the good coaching and the good everybody works together as a unit, you're not going to have success. And this Bills roster isn't as good as it has been, but I think they do really believe in each other. And whether you like him or not, Sean McDermott is probably one of the best coaches in the NFL, and he's probably their best coach since Marv Levy, in my opinion.
Absolutely is. I think he gets a lot of negative attention of, oh, this is, Sean's fault. But he's doing whatever he can with the team that he has. And with the parts and pieces that he's had, he's been able to put them together. And it has been fun to watch to see this team that, again, isn't as talented as years past, but they're certainly still in a great position to make the first Super Bowl in my lifetime.
Quick thoughts on facing Bo Nix again and the Denver Broncos for the second straight year in a row in the playoffs, this time on the road in Mile High City on short notice and banged up too.
Yeah, you'd have to expect that this will be a much closer game than it was a year ago, just due to the fact that Bo Nix gained another year. This team has won so many close games throughout the year that have been one-possession games. And while some people think they're frauds because of that, I see that as a big strength for Denver overall. That is not easy to do, to come out on the winning side of a lot of these games. Most of the time, it is not luck. It takes the ability to be a game manager, which Sean Payton has been throughout his amazing, I would say, Hall of Fame coaching career. And for Buffalo, like you mentioned, coming off short rest, not having a lot of the weapons specifically at receiver that can make game-changing type plays, you're really going to have to rely on the run game in a week like this. And I think James Cook was limited against the Jaguars just due to their front seven. He's really going to need a big week out there in Denver if the Bills want to be on the winning side of this one. And then defensively, same thing. You might not have a lot of the star players that you would have thought entering this year, but complementary pieces have been making tons of plays. Trey White has been fantastic for them. Matt Milano over the last 6 weeks has been amazing for them at linebacker. So they can piece it together. I'm expecting another really close game, but the Bills get it done on the road yet again.
And the other games, how do you see Houston and New England, Chicago Rams, and Seattle and San Francisco as we wrap up?
I predicted before the playoffs that it would be a Bills-Patriots AFC championship. That would be must-see TV, especially for somebody who grew up being absolutely dominated by the Patriots and Tom Brady. If we could kind of flip the script this time around and beat our former nemesis who got the better of us so many times to go to our first Super Bowl since the early 90s. So that's kind of what I predicted on the AFC side. And on the NFC side, you just saw them this past weekend, but the 49ers, a team that more so than the Bills has just been banged up all season long. Their injuries continue with George Kittle being out the rest of the way, but somehow, some way they continue to get it done. So they're a team that I would really, really watch out for. And the Seahawks, I really like their makeup of the team. I just have a little bit of worriness about Sam Darnold because previously in his career, he has not been able to come up in these big time games. He did in the final week or second to final week of the year to gain the 1 seed, which maybe built a little bit more confidence for him. But I think the NFC side is much tougher to get a good read on than over there out in the AFC.
My picks quickly, I'm going to say this. I'm going to go with Denver because I think Sean Payton's going to have them ready to play, and they're at home, and their defense is outstanding, and I don't know how much gas is left in the Bills' gas tank. And then Houston, New England. New England's the favorites, but Houston has a terrific defense, and they're hungry. I can see it. You can see it, and I think Houston is capable of beating New England. And then Chicago, the Rams. The Rams have the talent, there's something just missing with that Rams team. I wouldn't be shocked if Chicago pulled up an upset at home at Soldier Field. And then Seattle, San Francisco. Common sense says Seattle should win this, but San Francisco has got one of the best head coaches in football, Kyle Shanahan. I wouldn't be shocked if the Niners, even without George Kittle, Warner, and Bosa, and some other key players, I wouldn't be shocked if they pull up an upset over Seattle. So I guess Denver, Houston, Chicago, and San Francisco are my picks.
I'm going to stay with you for your picks on the NFC side and then flip the other two in the AFC. So we have at least some commonality out there in the NFC.
Absolutely. And finally, this is a new segment I do when I wrap up my show with my guest, Griffin. It's Ask the Host CDP a question. Do you have a question for me before we wrap up?
I do. We mentioned before we got on about the growth that you've had in this channel and this show. What's next for you? What are your kind of goals and ambitions moving forward?
Well, I am working on getting this show back on a radio station in Niagara, in the Niagara region. If I can't get onto radio, I would like to continue to build it on the live streaming because right now you don't need to be in a radio station anymore to broadcast. So either get back into a radio station situation or to continue to build this and get more advertisement companies sponsoring this show and continue to get great guests like yourself on. And this is a passion of mine. And I probably put more work into this, even doing this from home, than I did at my other job as well. And I'm hoping one day when things get better, without getting into politics, I'll be back doing the Bandits and the Bisons. I'm right now kind of doing them remotely, but as much as remotely is great, Griffin, there's nothing better than being at the ballpark or the arena, being around the fans, the players, the coaches, and the groundskeepers too. So I love what I'm doing, and I just want to keep getting better and keep getting more opportunities. And it's the guests and the people that I interview that should get the credit. I'm just a host.
Well, you certainly have a amazing perspective. I will continue to support you in your journey and hold you to that as your goals and ambitions. I know that you'll certainly continue to have this show grow in whatever way you want to take it.
Well, Griffin, I want to say thank you so much. And where can our audience follow you on social media, your website, and the best way of contacting you?
So it's very, very easy. My website is just my name, griffindellapenna.com. That has links to all of my different social medias. My Instagram handle, Griffin Della Penna, super easy. And then at the bottom ticker, I think you have some other ones too. So the only different one is my Twitter, which is GriffinDP _ instead of full name Griffin Della Penna. That was a little bit too long out there on Twitter, so that's why I shortened it.
Well, I want to say, Griffin, thank you so much for coming on here tonight and continued success. And hopefully one day we'll see you back at the KeyBank Center or in Rochester. I would like to get to an Amerks game and a Nighthawks game out there in Rochester and get perspective from those teams as well.
Certainly. Yeah, I'm very appreciative that you had me on and we could talk a little bit. It means a lot to see how, again, far we've both came over the last 4 years since we first met. So hopefully whenever we see each other next, we just continue to climb up the ladder.
Absolutely. Well, Griffin, thank you so much. Continued success and good luck to your Bills with my Philadelphia Eagles out. I'm trying to be objective about it. I guess I'll have to cheer for Buffalo because I never thought in my life I'd see the Eagles win 1 or 2 Super Bowls. So I do think it's time for Buffalo. So I will be cheering for the Bills, and I'm looking forward to it as well. All these games on Sunday, Saturday, and Sunday as well. Griffin, thank you so much for doing this, and give me a little bit of time tonight, and I will send you the video, the audio, and I will edit it into some reels and clips as well.
Sounds like a plan, Chris. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Griffin. Have a good night and talk to you soon.
You too.
All right, everybody. That wraps up season 12, episode 42, overall 647 of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. And I want to say thank you to my guest, Griffin Della Penna. Griffin Della Penna for coming on here tonight. He is the director of creative content and multimedia with the Coastal Athletic Association, and he also does some media coverage and work for the Buffalo Sabres as an in-game arena host with the Rochester Americans of the American Hockey League, as well as a color analyst on NLL Plus for the Rochester Nighthawks as well. And as we wrap up the show, guys, I have some more news to announce. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show by BarryCullen.com is going to be coming soon to realwealthradio.ca. Realwealthradio.ca out of Niagara-on-the-Lake. I will be on there very soon with Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show and the Small Talk podcast as well. So make sure you check out realwealthradio.ca. They play the best of the 70s, 80s, and 90s music, and they also have some talk shows with mine going to be on there very soon as well. So again, I want to say thank you to Griffin Della Penna for coming on today live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. I have another big announcement to make, everybody. My next Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, brought to you by, sponsored by BarryCullen.com, is going to take place on Wednesday, January 14th at 8 p.m. Eastern with special guest Kendra Erica. She's an acclaimed singer, songwriter, actress who just released her latest single, Golden Eye, and her next album will be out in February called A License to Kill, as well as a tribute to James Bond. So Kendrick Erica will be on tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 on the West Coast. So hopefully you can tune into that. And we're going to hear our latest single called The Golden Eye. And as we wrap up our show, guys, you can also follow my guest, Griffin Della Penna, on these social media sites, griffindellapenna.com. He's also on the YouTube channel. Griffin is also on LinkedIn as well as X. So his social media sites are down there as well. And as we wrap up this show, guys, right now, winter time is here. And right now, if you need a battery checked, go to Barry Cullen Chevrolet dealership. With winter here, the cold temps here, cold temps can be hard on your battery. Go to Barry Cullen Chevrolet dealership, your go-to service center this winter. A no charge, that's right, a no charge 12-volt battery test. Plus, you can receive a $20 instant rebate if you happen to need a new battery. Located at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. And again, Barry Cullen Chevrolet dealership is a proud sponsor and advertiser of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. And if you happen to need winter tires here in Southern Ontario and you're in the Guelph area, check out Barry Cullen Chevrolet dealership, their service department, Greg Smith and Sarah Higgins. Both of them have great customer service, and either one of them can help you with getting the right winter tires as well. So if you're looking for winter tires as well, check out barrycullenchevrolet.com or drop by the dealership. Tom Chris Palme sent you. By the way, I am now on cameo.com. If you'd like a personalized video message from yours truly, CDP, I do happy birthdays, happy Hanukkahs, happy anniversary, congratulations, whatever you want in reason, I will be happy to do it. And if you wanted to ask me questions about my talk shows, my favorite guests, most memorable interviews, and how I got into this career 6 years ago, go to cameo.com. Type in Chris Palme and book your cameo today. I look forward to doing your requests. You can also now follow me on Blue Sky Social. Blue Sky Social is like what Twitter X used to be, at Live with CDP19 on Blue Sky Social. If you're looking to adopt a pet, check out the Cambridge and District Humane Society, located at 1650 Dunbar Road in Cambridge, Ontario. Telephone number 519-623-7722, extension 0, or visit their website, cambridgehumanesociety.org. And I did a little promo for them yesterday, courtesy of my YouTube channel. We're going to play this clip right now. If you already haven't, go to YouTube, type in Chris Palme Live with CDP Talk Show, and hit the subscribe, like, and share notification. Dog walker fundraiser for the Cambridge District Humane Society. If you're looking to adopt a pet, check out the Cambridge District Humane Society, located at 1650 Dunbar Road in Cambridge, Ontario. Telephone number 519-623-7722, extension 0, or visit their website, cambridgehumanesociety.org. All the animals and pets that are up for adoption are on cambridgehumanesociety.org. And always remember, you can't buy happiness, but you can adopt it here at the Cambridge District Humane Society. That clip was courtesy of my YouTube channel, and at the Cambridge District Humane Society, they do a wonderful job getting our homeless furry friends into good homes with good families. And also, go to cambridgehumanesociety.org. They do have an Amazon wish list. And also, if you have pet food at home you're no longer using, you can bring it down to the Cambridge District Humane Society. They're right across the road from the Cambridge Center Mall, 1650 Dunbar Road. Michelle Glatley and her staff do a really good job down there, and I'm hoping to see dogs like Daisy and Christopher and Molly get adopted as well. So if you're looking to adopt a pet, consider the Cambridge District Humane Society. Go to their website, cambridgehumanesociety.org. All the animals that are up for adoption, their profile and informations are on the website. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, again, is live streamed on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, X, Twitch, LinkedIn, and now available on Instagram, and hopefully one of these days on TikTok as well. You can check out my website, beacons.ai/Chris D. Palme. You can also follow this full-time content creator on TikTok at Chris Pame. And please make sure you like, share, and follow me on TikTok. And I want to say thank you to my 1,500 followers. That's right. I got 1,500 followers on TikTok. Thank you so much. And I have more great content coming up. StreamYard is the official live stream provider of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. If you're into webinars, podcasting, live stream, go to StreamYard.com. They have basic free plans, paid professional plans, or if you're a business that does a lot of webinars for your business, go to StreamYard.com and contact your sales department for business pricing as well. Yours truly has been using StreamYard.com for the last 5 years, and I give them a big thumbs up. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. The audio version is on these platforms: iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify for podcasters, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Spotify, Castbox, LinkedIn, Pandora, Tuned In, YouTube Music, and Good Pods. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. And I want to say thank you to 71 countries around the world for listening to Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, the Argo Bounce Podcast Show, and the Small Talk Podcast as well. And finally, guys, you can email the show, Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, at cpame19@gmail.com. Any comments, questions, suggestions, feedback would be greatly appreciated. And also, if you'd like to support and contribute to my media work, my talk show, my YouTube channel, I am on paypal.com, Chris Pame on paypal.com. If you'd like to contribute to my YouTube channel and my media work as well through PayPal, or book a video or book a personalized video message for me on Cameo, again at Chris Pame on cameo.com. Finally, guys, you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, X, Threads, Instagram, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, everywhere except Snapchat. And remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Chris Pame Live with CDP Talk Show. And I want to say thank you to all my subscribers, and I've reached over 604,000 views. A lot of people don't realize how much work it is into getting your subscribers up, but also getting views as well. And I want to say thank you to everyone for subscribing, liking, and sharing my YouTube channel, and also my YouTube short channel as well. So make sure you check out my YouTube shorts as well. And that is about it for tonight, guys. I want to say thank you to Griffin Della Penna for coming on here tonight. And thank you to everyone for watching and listening to the show. And again, the Philadelphia Eagles today fired offensive coordinator Kevin Patello. He is gone after 1 year, and I expect there'll be more changes with the Eagles coaching staff going forward. I do believe Nick Sirianni will be back for another year as well as the head coach of the Eagles. And Mike Tomlin again announced his resignation with the Pittsburgh Steelers after 19 years. Steelers have only had 3 head coaches since 1969. Chuck Noll, who they won 4 Super Bowls with, Bill Cowher, who they won a Super Bowl with, and Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin won't be out of work as well, and it's unbelievable. John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin are no longer with their organizations as well. And as for the NFL games coming up this weekend, guys, Denver, Buffalo this Saturday at 4:30, and then Houston and New England, I believe, is Sunday at 6:30. The Rams and Chicago, I believe, are up this week. So Denver, Buffalo, Houston, New England, Chicago Rams, and Seattle, San Francisco. I'm picking Denver, Houston, Chicago, and San Francisco to win their games. Hey, Todd, if you're watching this game, Todd Vandenberg, who's a huge Niners fan, I am picking your Niners to win over Seattle as well. And we've got NHL tonight, guys. We've got the Detroit Red Wings, who are coming off a big win last night, 4-3 in overtime over Carolina on Sergei Fedorov retirement night. It was nice to see the Wings win and get 2 points against the good Carolina team, but it was nice to see them win on Sergei Fedorov night. He's one of the greatest NHL players of all time and one of the top 5 Red Wings, and it's nice to see number 91 retired at Little Caesars Arena. The Red Wings now have retired the Red Wings have now in their history, their 100-year history, only retired 9 numbers, and number 91 is up there along with Gordie Howe's number 9, and Steve Eiserman's 19, and Nick Lidstrom number 5, Red Kelly number 4, Ted Lindsay number 1, and Alex DeVecchio number 10. So congratulations to Sergei Fedorov. And the Red Wings are back in action tonight. They're on the road at 7:30 when the Red Wings travel to Boston to take on those pesky Bruins as well. And that is about it for tonight. So thank you to Griffin Della Penna for coming on our show tonight. And I want to say thank you to everyone watching this live stream and listening to it on audio, as well as to my sponsor, advertiser, Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership as well. And again, the next Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show tomorrow night, Wednesday, January 14th, 8 p.m. Eastern, with special guest, acclaimed singer, songwriter, and actress, Kendra Erica. And we're going to play her latest single, Golden Eye, as well. And let's see, we got a comment. Andrew, I don't know who that is. If you do a comment and I'm not sure who you are, I'm not going to read it on air as well. But thank you to everyone for watching and listening to Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, hosted by Chris Pame and brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership. Have a great night, everybody, and we'll see you back here tomorrow night at Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern with Kendrick Erica. Good night, everybody.